Close the door, please. Please repeat after me the prayer for world peace and really think about the words that we are saying. Okay. Oh Lord, may your hand lead us.
Oh Lord, may your hand lead us.
From the unreal to the real.
From the unreal to the real.
From darkness to light.
From darkness to light.
From death to immortality.
From death to immortality.
May all be happy.
May all be happy.
May all be peaceful.
May all be peaceful.
May all be enlightened and cultured.
May all be enlightened and cultured.
May all attain perfection.
May all attain perfection.
May peace be established in the three bodies of man.
May peace be established in the three bodies of man.
May peace be established in the three worlds.
May peace be established in the three worlds.
May peace be established everywhere.
May peace be established everywhere.
May truth be our religion.
May truth be our religion.
May service be our worship.
May service be our worship.
May knowledge be our breath.
May knowledge be our breath.
May world be our family.
May world be our family.
May yoga and meditation be our way.
May yoga and meditation be our way.
May our eyes see happy and noble things.
May our eyes see happy and noble things.
May our ears hear happy and truthful words.
May our ears hear happy and truthful words.
May our tongues be sweet and truthful.
May our tongues be sweet and truthful.
May our bodies be divine instruments.
May our bodies be divine instruments.
May noble thoughts come to us from all corners of the universe.
May noble thoughts come to us from all corners of the universe.
May we never leave God.
May we never leave God.
May God never leave us.
May God never leave us.
Om peace and love.
Om peace and love.
Om peace and health.
Om peace and health.
Om peace and enlightenment.
Om peace and enlightenment.
Thank you for coming. I'm seeing more than I usually see. I thought very appropriately would be the topic of joy. Okay. So, did you know that joy was your birthright?
Yes. Oh.
It belongs to you. I'm recording. Okay. Everyone is looking for happiness, isn't it? Isn't everybody looking for happiness? Yes.
And a good man.
Okay. We may feel a moment of joy in our life, but it's a temporary moment. Joy is not called happiness. That's not the joy I'm talking about. I want to talk to you about the joy that resides within you no matter what happens out there. That's a totally different joy. That's a totally different thing. That means no matter what happens, positive or negative, you still have it within you. That doesn't mean you will not, of course you're going to be unhappy for a certain amount of time with unhappiness. But the joy resides within your physical being. And all the other stuff is temporary, rather than the opposite. We have joy temporary and the other stuff permanent practically. Okay? We want the joy permanent, and we want the positive and negative temporary. And that's what I'm talking about. It's definitely not something you acquire naturally. It's something that you have to develop. People think that certain things should come to them naturally. All right? There is a wonderful book that I read between the Dalai Lama and Tutu. Yeah. The Book of Joy, Lasting Happiness in a Changing World, it's called. And the two of them are teasing each other and talking about joy. That was, the whole book was all about that. And they both emphasize two things, and this is what I want to get through today. Okay? Most of our suffering, most, not all, comes because we are too self-centered. Okay. Now, I never believed all that. And, when I was upset, Mataji would say, "You're thinking about yourself too much." And I go, "Well, yeah, I'm not feeling well. I'm suffering." Of course, I'm thinking about myself. But it is the truth. We are thinking about ourselves too much. We have to think, everybody wants happiness. This is a quote from Dalai Lama. Everyone wants happy life, and our individual happy life depends on a happy humanity. Is that not true? Yeah. So we have to think about humanity, discover a sense of oneness to all 7 billion human beings. By now it might be 8, who knows, when the book was written. And he recommends to have compassion, and that is one of the main recommendations that the Buddhists do. Say compassion, because when we have compassion, then we take a look at the others. Why are they doing things to me that might be hurting me? They're usually not hurting you because they want to hurt you. They're hurting because they're hurting. That's why they're hurting you. Compassion, you take a look at everybody. You take a look why they are doing what they are doing. Most of our pain comes from other people. The tongue, especially, and that's loose. But the tongue can put pain into you that you wouldn't believe. It's amazing. It's totally amazing. And he recommends, this is what he recommends, even 10 minutes or 30 minutes of meditating on compassion or kindness for others, you will automatically see an effect all day. And that is his way of maintaining a joyous life. Now, Patanjali states it differently. Patanjali was a sage who wrote the Yoga Sutras. Now you tell me. Who wrote the Yoga Sutras. And he recommends practicing 4 virtues to attain the joy of the mind. They are called Maitri, which is friendliness, Karuna, which is compassion, Mudita, happiness, Upeksha, equanimity. And it's interesting because when you look at these, you say, well, these are things that will come to me. These are not things I should practice, but this is what he says you have to practice. And that's very interesting to understand. Our positive qualities have to be actively developed. They do not come naturally. What you think comes naturally is what has been developed in you from previous impressions, from previous experiences, from previous things. Okay? So we have to develop Maitri, equanimity, happiness, and friendliness. And believe it or not, if you develop one completely, you will have all of them. When we start thinking about another human being rather than us, always, and yet the world revolves around you, right? My world is one world, your world is totally different, right? Your world is even more different. Everybody has a different world. And yet we live in the same space. But each person sees a different world. But then we also need to look at the other person. And the only way you can really forgive someone is through compassion. It's the only way. There is no other way. What is the difference? What does compassion mean? I'm looking at the other person and finding out why they did what they did. Okay? Sometimes we confuse humility with timidity. Humility allows us to celebrate the gifts of others. This is Archbishop Tutu speaking. But it does not mean you have to deny your own gifts or shrink from using them. God uses each of us in our own way, and even if you are not the best one, you may be the only one that is needed at this time. Okay? So understand that each one of us has gifts, and not everybody can use their gifts. And when you don't use your gifts, you get very frustrated and unhappy. So look for your gifts. Everyone has a beautiful gift. Like all the beautiful flowers in the springtime. Every single individual has beautiful gifts to share. It is our duty to share. When you start taking your gifts and trying to use them only for yourself is when the problem comes in. Okay? So, we also have a hard time to be kind to ourselves, right? Yeah. You have a hard time being kind to ourselves. It is easier to help somebody else than to help me. When I need something, somebody over there, it's easier. Be kind to yourself. Acceptance is not resignation. If you accept yourself for who and what you have done and be compassionate to yourself, that is not a resignation that this is the way I am. It is just accepting this is what I am right now and I can make a change. And guess what? That takes courage. And it takes courage to look at ourselves. It takes courage to be compassionate. These are all things that require courage. And sometimes we don't feel up to that kind of courage. And yet we need to, okay? It was a very interesting, I was working in a hospital during college years. And there was this one woman who had a tremendous amount of problems and was in much, much pain. But she was always smiling. She was always pleasant to us. And when you left her room, you were smiling. And then I had the pain in the necks that had a little bit of pain that were always complaining. And I'm going, how can this woman be so happy or so full of joy and in so much difficulty that God has given her? And it was a tremendous lesson to me that the pain and the problems you have do not diminish your personality of joy. Because you will emanate. Joy, you will begin to emanate. If you get up every morning and you say, today I'm going to be joyful, it will emanate from you. It will not leave you. Because remember, joy we want as a permanent fixture. And the happiness, unhappiness, pain, and discomfort we want as temporary fixtures. Yeah. So that when you have that as a permanent fixture, then no matter what happens, you will radiate that and you will become that. And that's what this woman was. She had it before she got sick. Before she had all this pain, it was already there. And the pain and the illness did not diminish it. That's how we would like you to have the joy. All right? And it's a decision we make, and it's definitely not dependent on any outside circumstances. So you have got to make that decision. Now, negative emotions like anger, jealousy, envy, fear should not be considered normal, that we can't do anything about. Those emotions destroy our peace, our relationships, our health, tremendously our health, okay? And it destroys community. We are so, and if your mind says that if I have material things I will be happy, that will not work either. When we have a genuine sense of concern for others, kindness, compassion take over. Compassion gives us this feeling that I'm looking at others and they may have less or are suffering than I am. Okay? And that shouldn't make me feel better, but but it is our arrogance towards others as pride and ego are in reality only our insecurity. Arrogance anyone shows you, know that it is their insecurity. If we have compassion, we would see that insecurity. The anger that people show you, it's their insecurity. And you have to have compassion. Now, that does not apply to your children. I mean, little ones. Before they have to move out of the house. But nowadays, they move out of the house with children. Yes, that's what I mean. Happiness, joy, is something that everybody wants. And this is supposed to be the season of joy, and yet it is also the season that most people are unhappy. Okay? And I want you to develop this idea that I'm going to start looking at all the family members that you don't like and all the ones that poke you with compassion this season, and not allow them to take away your joy. Do not allow them to take away. Now, and if they have done you wrong, forgive. I like to quote you a quote from Archbishop Tutu about forgiveness. Forgiveness is the only way to heal ourselves and to free ourselves from the past. Without forgiveness, we cannot be joyful. Without forgiveness, we remain bound to the person or situation that has harmed us. It becomes a prison and nurtures bitterness. Without forgiveness, the person who harmed us holds the key to our happiness. Do you want somebody to hold the key to your happiness? Ay, ay, ay. Forgiveness is not weakness. Forgiveness is not weakness, but it empowers us to take back control of our feeling and our happiness. We have to be able to forgive. It's an absolute. So this holiday season, when you see all those people in your family that have, you start thinking about taking back the key to your happiness, because you definitely don't want to leave it with them. Okay? And we are now studying happiness. I want you to become happiness. Studying joy and happiness, we realize by studying it, you begin to realize it's within me. I can have it. There's no reason for me not to have it. Get that feeling. Okay, I can have it. Let me just have it. This one, she's always happy. See, she giggles even if I look at her.
Smokes a lot of weed.
Through forgiveness, the Dalai Lama forgave those people that threw them out. Through forgiveness, Archbishop Desmond Tutu was able to work towards multiracial democracy. And we can do this. Forgiveness is important. You will not be joyful unless you forgive. And you will not be joyful if you're always looking at yourself. So 2 things are needed to be joyful. Take that I, me, and that me importance and start sharing your gifts rather than holding them in, because that's what we do. We hold them in. Start sharing the gifts. Start looking more, doing things for others. If you're having problems with yourself, start doing things for other people. Because once you give, what happens? I've said to you many times, I've said it, you cannot give from your heart unless something happens. What is that? The divine energy flows through here and comes out here. And that's only when you give to others. It comes through here, comes out here. And if you're not giving, there's nothing coming in here. So open the heart to others, but that doesn't mean you become a doormat. Open the heart, use discretion, use compassion, forgive. Finished. You'll be joyful. Got that? All right. My time is up. I'll Om you home. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Oh.